Great. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our regular meeting this Tuesday, July 8th of 2025. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Supervisor Fallendorf, will you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you report out from our closed session from the last meeting?
Closed session agenda from June 24th. Item 1, pursuant to Government Code 54956.95, conference with legal counsel, workers' compensation claim, Jack Trushler, County of Calaveras, claim number CCVC 555854, board action, no reportable action taken. Item 2, pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D2 and E3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. One case, significant exposure to litigation, recipient of claim number 2024-05, Duman Advigar. Item 3, no report action or reportable action taken. Item 3, pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Hosworth versus County Workers' Compensation Appeals Case number ADJ 18153-286. Board action, no reportable action taken.
Thank you so much. I will move on now to staff announcements. Ms. Medina.
Lisa Medina, Environmental Management. It's Dolores Ransom, our lead dog volunteer, and we have Jolene. Do you want me to start singing the song, Jolene? Anyhow, so Jolene came to us last year, and now she was adopted, and now she's back with us. She is a spayed red and white Alaskan Husky, and is estimated to be about 3 years old and about 54 pounds. These dogs, like all other Huskies, are known to have high energy. They're known for their intelligence and their independent nature, and they make wonderful family dogs. She interacts really well with humans and all other dogs and gets really excited a little bit around cats. So that's something that's just the Husky nature. They like to chase things. She loves water and her walks and treats. So if you're interested in her, please let us know. And if you have another dog, then she will need to be a meet and greet is required. As you can say, she's really playful. She just had a bath this morning, so she's a little furry. So Dolores and I are full of fur this morning. So please call us at 754-6509 if you are interested. In June, we had 15 dogs that were adopted from our shelter, which is a very high number, and we're very happy about that. Our dog volunteers gave 639 hours, 0.5, in June, and we currently have 30 dogs that are waiting for their forever homes. We want to thank all our volunteers and staff who can be seen in the morning walking our pups early in the morning. And our next free rabies clinic only is going to be held in Angels Camp at the Spence Ranch Feed and Supply on September 13th from 9:30 to 11:30. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dolores. Thank you, Jolene. Morning.
Good morning. Morning, Chair Deputy, Honorable Board, and CEO Hitchcock and Council. On June 25th, 2025, we closed our 2025 assessment roll with a total assessed value of $10,492,033,755 net of exemptions. This represents an increase of $491 million over 2024 assessment roll. The difference results in an increase of 4.91%. My staff processed over 9,000 assessments. These range from changing ownership, new construction, Proposition 8, roll corrections, parcel splits, property tax exemptions, and exclusions. I believe this is a true testament to the hard work and expertise of our workplace. I am proud of all of their accomplishments and their detailed and diligent efforts to complete this year's assessment roll. I am truly appreciated of all of their hard work. Last thing is, I want to remind all the property owners of the county, who own property here and their primary residence is here. You're eligible for a homeowner's property tax exemption, which is about $7,000 off your assessed value, which is about $70 a year off of your tax bill, and you can only have one in the state. So wherever your primary residence is. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes,
Lori,
Yes.
thank your staff. You know, they did the good work, but you know, since you've been in there, you know, giving them the opportunity and the path to work on the backlog and everything. Thank you for all the good work and everything
Thank you.
to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Holt.
Morning, board. Eric Holt, OES. I wanted to share with you the closeout of our first CWPP survey that we just completed. Just some broad strokes, and you guys can look at that. We'll also post it on our website. First off, I want to thank Linda Group from IT who helped me to create this and tabulate all of our responses. We were able to receive 329 responses from our community, which I'm very happy with. Our goal was 350 towards the end there. We just almost got there. But we are under the Fire Safe Council's county coordinator grant. That's helped paying for this and our staff time that goes with it. And if you go through, I mean, this is pretty explanatory on what we expected. There's a high degree of concern for wildfire safety. I think none of us are surprised by that, but it definitely gives us some avenues for our grant submissions this next year. Home hardening and fuels reductions being the main concerns. And then we will continue to work on the CWPP. The next thing that we're working on is evacuation. So we will be, you know, doing another survey and assessing evacuation routes, our alert and warning, all that stuff. So continue to come with updates for you guys, but we'll have this on the website here shortly. Some of these are real small, but you can zoom them on the websites and read them better. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Are there any other staff announcements? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, we'll move on to general public comment.
Any item of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board and is not posted on the consent or regular agendas may be addressed during the public comment period. California law prohibits the board from taking action on any matter which is not posted on the agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the Board of Supervisors. If public comment is completed before the 30-minute allotted time period, the board may immediately move to the next order of business. If public comment is not completed the allotted time period, it will be continued as the last item of business in order to provide an opportunity for the remainder of comments to be heard.
Thank you. Terry.
Good morning, Terry McBride, New California State, Calaveras County Chair, Senator, and Senate Pro Tem President. I want to, before I talk real quick, you need to turn that on, although that would be fabulous, thank you to the firefighters. Those guys have been on it. I mean, we have been hearing about fires and they are kept to such minimum amounts. And I really want to put a note of gratitude to all the firefighters, our local ones, and the Cal Fire folks for really stepping up and doing their job. And I'm very grateful. You see this Saturday, we're going to have an election for New California State and our Constitution. I'm very proud of it. We did the 4th of July. I cannot tell you how many people took pictures of this, and I'm hoping you're going to come and vote. I'm inviting you to, at the very least, go look at the new Constitution. Are you aware that in 1849, to become a state within the United States, we had to create a Constitution to give Congress? 30 years after that, those that weren't so nice changed it out to a corporate document. So you have been following corporate doctrine, unbeknownst to you, I'm quite sure, but that's a fact, that stepped on and destroyed our constitutional right. If you go online and look up the original California Constitution, 1849, you'll see it's quite short. It's about as long as ours is. And then you look at the new one and you're going to see it's like that big. And it has been changed well over 900 times. So you want to be aware of that, and I'm sure most public employees and elected officials have no clue. So with New California, we're having a constitution, a real one, that protects parental rights, that protects your rights, everybody's rights in this room, in this county, in this new state. Is this going to happen? Yeah, we're right close to the end. That's why we're doing this vote. So I'm asking you to, at very least, go read that Constitution, see what it's going to do for you, how much happier you're going to be that your children, your grandchildren are going to grow up in a state with a Constitution such as ours. We even went after AI and technocracy, protecting humanity's rights, right? And nature, because we got to have nature, we don't have humans. Anyway, so it's Saturday, the 12th, from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock at the Calaveras County Library in the public room. You must show your ID and you have to show proof of residency, and that can be your PG&E bill, it can be your car registration, whatever shows the town that you live in within this county. We can't do proof of citizenship yet because we aren't a state yet. We're not approved from the United States. But when that happens, yes, you will. You have to be a US citizen to be able to vote in our elections. So anyway, I invite you, please come. I think you'll be excited about it, but at the very least, look at the Constitution. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry. Morning, Mr. Butner.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Butner, publisher of Calaveras 2026election.com. I recently read a courageous county civil grand jury report. The report documented that the county grand jury had performed its duty to the county citizens by investigating complaints of misrepresentation of information to and from the Board of Supervisors, investigating complaints of differential treatment by senior county administration, investigating complaints about hiring practices in county government, as well as having investigated other materially related concerns. Unfortunately, this was not the Calaveras County's 2024-2025 civil grand jury report I was reading. I was reading neighboring Tuolumne County's 2024-2025 civil grand jury report. The report presented a detailed description of a type of grand jury investigation called a carryover investigation that the grand jury had completed. The grand jury's report summarized the carryover investigation in the following manner. When a prior grand jury provides information in the form of complaints, documentation, or interview notes on a topic that the grand jury was not able to adequately investigate or complete a report about, the grand jury report continued. A grand jury would not be able to complete and investigate a topic for many reasons. The most common reason would be that each grand jury is only impaneled for 1 year. Whatever does not get finished within that time frame must either be dropped or carried over to the next grand jury. The major issue with a carryover investigation is that the new grand jury must start from scratch and must conclude and publish in 1 year. If any information was provided, this grand jury would have to do the entire investigation again. Use of prior witness statements is strictly prohibited. Reading about carryover investigations directed my concerns to the 8 complaints I've filed during the 2023, 2024, and the 2024-2025 Calaveras County grand jury terms. I've seen no evidence of any of my complaints having been considered or investigated. As the 2025-2026 Calaveras County Civil Grand Jury impanels and begins reviewing complaints it will consider, I urge the jurists to take a courageous step as neighboring Tuolumne County's grand jury has by attempting to bring accountability, integrity, and transparency into local government. The 2025-2026 Calaveras County Civil Grand Jury may expect to receive continuing calls and demands for a credible, unbiased investigation of the business practices of the Calaveras County Administration and the Board of Supervisors. Thank you very much. My name is Christopher Butner, publisher of Calaveras 2026election.com.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Good morning. My name is Todd White, and I'm here on behalf of Senator Alvarado Gill. And the good news is that the legislature is on recess for the next couple of months. So just breathe a sigh of relief. There's no new laws coming out, at least for a couple of months. So I'm here on the senator's behalf just to get out in the district and express her sincere appreciation for your leadership and continued partnership in serving the residents of Calaveras County. As a proud voice for rural California, Senator Alvarado Gil is deeply committed to ensuring that counties like Calaveras receive fair attention, resources, and representation at the state level. The senator has focused on priorities that matter to Calaveras County, such as wildfire prevention, increasing access to behavioral health services, and addressing the affordability crisis in housing and insurance. She has also advocated for more flexible funding streams that empower counties to meet their own unique needs. Senator Gill also believes effective governance begins with strong collaboration between state and local leaders. Her district team remains available to assist with state agency coordination, grant navigation, or any other legislative needs you may have. Now that we're on recess, we'll be doing a mobile office hours here in San Andreas, which will be announced shortly. And if you have any other suggestions for me, I will leave my cell phone number and the card with your clerk, and you can call me about New California or any other issue that you see fit. You can call me whenever you want, and you can tell me what we need to do out here in Calaveras. And so on behalf of Senator Gill, again, we just appreciate the work that you're doing. And if every county was run like Calaveras, I think the state of California would be in a much better place. So thank you for your time, and I'll leave my card with your clerks.
Thank you, Mr. White. And thank the
you.
senator for us.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Madam Clerk.
Consent agenda items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested party may request the removal of an item from the consent agenda for later discussion.
Would any board member like to pull any of the items in the consent agenda? Supervisor Toffenelli? No. Okay. Is there any member of the public that would like to pull an item that's on the consent agenda? Any online
We have
comment?
no online request.
Okay. With that, I'll bring it back to the board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Passes 5-0. We'll move on now to our regular agenda, item number 9, Madam Clerk.
Item 9, informational item, administrative office received an informational presentation regarding the rural county representatives of California strategic plan.
Morning, Mr. Block. Morning.
Thank you, Chair and board members. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I appreciate getting a few minutes on your agenda. I wanted to say at the start that I'm hopeful this can be as much a conversation as presentation. So stop me anywhere you've got questions or feedback to provide, because that's the value for us, is hearing what's on your mind so that I can take that back and share it with the team back in Sacramento. So again, please don't hesitate to stop me anywhere as we go through the presentation today. My goal is to give you an overview of what we're doing at RCRC, the Rural County Representatives of California, along with our affiliate entities, which you see along the bottom. I know that some of you have some familiarity with each of these from prior presentations, but hopefully today I'll give you an update on where we are currently with them. I wanted to start by noting that it's really our strategic plan that guides us, and hopefully the topics that you see on here are very familiar to you, whether it's broadband, whether it's local control, forest resilience. But I always like to draw your attention to the vision on the right, which is our board set sort of a twofold vision for us. One is to be your advocate in Sacramento and in DC, but the second is to be an innovative service provider for rural counties. And really what our board was saying is they see us as the entrepreneurial arm of rural counties. When there's a challenge too big for a small county, we bring it to RCRC and see if we can get economies of scale and address it that way. And so over the years, we've formed a number of public or private entities to do that work. And I'll talk a little bit about where we are with those.
as we go through the presentation. I do want to start with advocacy though, because that's long been the cornerstone of our work at RCRC. Again, I think you look at the policy areas, none of those will necessarily surprise you, but I wanted to talk about some of the focus areas for this year. We do use ad hoc committees of our board to really drill down on hot policy areas. And so you'll see here one listed, which is recruitment and retention of employees. We know some of our counties have been struggling with pretty high vacancy rate over the last few years. So we're going to take a drill down on that to see how we might be able to assist. But we also have a couple of others. One is carrier of last resort. I'm sure you've been following the landline discussions and the proposals to eliminate landlines. We've been very active in those discussions, including working with the Speaker's office just in the last month to make several amendments to the process to hopefully build in some stronger guardrails and to ensure the CPUC has oversight before any areas are relinquished. And that work was directly influenced by our ad hoc committee. A couple of others not on here. We have a Williamson Act ad hoc committee that has reconvened because there's active legislation on that front. So the Williamson Act ad hoc committee is helping guide us through to a landing place on that. That bill is moving right now with amendments. And then lastly, we just are in the process, or at our August board meeting, we'll be forming a creditor management ad hoc committee. Secretary of Natural Resources Crowfoot invited us to do that so that Natural Resources and Fish and Wildlife would have direct input from rural counties. So we're forming an ad hoc to look at how we manage species ranging from wolves to mountain lions to bears, and how Fish and Wildlife can be more effective in helping manage those species. So there's just a couple of examples of where our board members are directly participating in policy development. I also wanted to mention two other areas. One, I mentioned local control, but along with that is state mandates. Years and years ago, counties were pretty routinely filing mandate claims with the Mandates Commission. That sort of fell off for a while, and as a result, we saw that the legislature was enacting legislation that carried with it costs, but pretty unaware that there was a mandate process and that those costs ultimately needed to be reimbursed because we weren't necessarily filing those mandate claims. So we formed a working group with CSAC, with the County Councils Association, and RCRC has actually brought on resources to help counties file test claims. So as an example, the Advanced Clean Fleet Rule, which requires counties to transition fleets to electric vehicles and others, that's got a significant cost. So we are in the process of working with a couple of counties to file test claims to hopefully get mandate reimbursement for that. And we're going to try to do that now on a regular cadence so that the legislature knows that when you enact legislation, it comes with the cost to counties. We're going to be right there to file that mandate claim to ensure that those costs are reimbursed by the state. The last one I'll mention here is, and I see you've got representatives from the Sheriff's Office here, jail medical services. A number of our counties have been contracting with a provider who just recently went through the bankruptcy process. And even before that bankruptcy process, we were hearing concerns from those counties in terms of not only the level of service, but the costs associated with it, and in particular liability claims associated with that. So we have been working with PRISM, which is the joint powers agency that provides insurance to many of those counties, to look at the issue. And just in the last month and a half, have convened regional groupings of CAOs to say, do you want to look at this at a regional level and look at it in terms of what are the options for providing jail medical services, ranging from continuing to contract out to some counties have transitioned to in-county to is there a regional solution where it makes sense? For example, you in theory could have a regional procurement for a contract, regional administration, and standardization of the contracts associated with that. So we're working with those CAOs to see whether or not we want to do an RFP and have somebody come in and do a feasibility assessment around that. We've asked the CAOs to then work with their sheriff's office, with their behavioral health office, public health, et cetera. So it's a collaborative effort. But just note that that's another way that RCRC can help is by being a convener and providing resources to actually help assess some of those issues that multiple counties are dealing with. I'll move on to the next slide unless there's any questions on that front. Now I'm going to transition from advocacy to some of our affiliate entities. And I'll start with Golden State Finance Authority and National Homebuyers Fund. GSFA is a joint powers agency, a public agency. NHF is a nonprofit. And they have been focused over the years on primarily helping on the homeownership front, helping people purchase homes, but more recently have done everything from commercial energy retrofit financing for commercial businesses to being the foundation for launching some of our other affiliate entities, like our work with broadband that I'll talk about in a minute, or our work with forestry. And I mention this only, as you can see on the slide here, there have been almost 200 individuals or families in Calaveras County that have purchased homes through these programs. And a lot of times they're not well known. And so one of the things we offer is if you have realtor associations, chamber of commerce, lenders associations, et cetera, that we can come up and provide information about it. We're happy to do that. And that's a resource that we can provide. But along those lines, a resource that I think some of you are familiar with is several years ago, our board established the Assist to Own program. Basically, it's no cost down payment assistance for county employees. And the board's goal here was to try to help counties with recruitment and retention. So if you're a Calaveras County employee and you want to buy a home, you can get down payment assistance at no cost. And what that means is that there's no interest that ever accrues and there's no payment ever due. It just sits as a second, the principal there. And when you sell the home, the principal gets paid back. But again, there's no amortization of interest. And so no costs associated with that to the homeowner. And I think if I'm recalling correctly, we've had about 5 county employees in Calaveras County use that program. But again, it's another one where we're happy to, if you want to do a webinar, if you want to have send something out through HR, any of those venues, we're happy to get more information out to ensure that your employees are aware of it and can take advantage of it, given the advantages it has for them in terms of purchasing a home. Our newest public agency we formed is Golden State Connect Authority, and this is a joint powers agency made up of the same 40 counties as RCRC. Calaveras County is a member of it, and it was formed about a little over 3 years ago to help rural counties access the coming wave of investment for broadband funding. And so in the first year, we obtained 19 million to do engineering, including in Calaveras County, for fiber deployment. And then to date, we've been awarded about 185 million to do construction of last mile fiber. We're going to match that with about 100 million in financing. So we'll be doing close to 300 million in construction over the next couple of years. You can see the counties in the box. However, we do have an application pending for Calaveras County to do construction here. It's 28.4 million pending with the CPUC. That would provide fiber in communities ranging from parts of West Point to parts of San Andreas, up the Highway 4 corridor, including Middle Mile up the Highway 4 corridor to get up to Alpine County. So we'll see in the coming months if that is awarded or not. But if it is, then we would add Calaveras County to the list of counties where we'll be doing construction over the next few years. And the system would be a publicly owned but open access system. And so think of it like an airport where the public agency puts the airport in, but private airlines use it. We would be doing the same model here. We'll put the fiber in the ground, but then open it up to private ISPs to deliver the service to the home so that you as a consumer or a business have options in terms of which internet plan makes the most sense for you. Golden State Natural Resources is our newest nonprofit focused on forest resilience. And this slide's actually a little dated because on June 25th, our Golden State Natural Resources Board unanimously approved pivoting the project to focus more on domestic markets for biomass. And so you may recall the last time you heard about this project, it was to take biomass from forest thinning projects, convert it to pellets, one of 2 sites, one in Lassen County, one in Tuolumne County, and then ship it by rail to the Port of Stockton to be used as a replacement for coal overseas. A couple of things have happened. One is that we went through the CEQA process, and within the CEQA comments, one of the themes we heard is we would like to see you strengthen your alternatives analysis, and in particular, look at domestic markets. At the same time, we were looking at our project assumptions, particularly supply and demand. And while demand for pellets remained strong, supply had increased pretty significantly in the last year and a half, and that had softened prices. So if ever there was a time to consider pivoting the project, it was now. And so we've been partnering with a number of public and private entities to assess what that could look like. And our board approved doing that. And so now we'll be working to update the draft DIR, to use the 2 sites to, instead of producing pellets, produce wood chips, and then rail those chips to some use. Speaking too fast, is that? Okay. And to ship those chips to the emerging domestic market. And I use the term emerging because those markets don't exist at a commercial scale today in the Western US. But when we talk to entities like Lawrence Livermore National Labs, what they see coming in the future are sustainable aviation fuel, alternative fuels like hydrogen, methanol, ethanol, electricity production, but likely with a carbon capture component, or alternative wood products like oriented strand board. Again, none of those are here today, and what we would be doing in this, with this pivot, is setting up the infrastructure to ensure that there's feedstock certainty and a system to get that feedstock to those uses when they come online. But there was probably 7 to 10 years out before they come online. So we'd be using that time to complete CEQA, get the sites entitled through, likely through a development agreement, and then make sure that we were working closely with the Forest Service to have long-term certainty in terms of the tonnages coming out of the forest as part of those forest resilience projects to support those efforts. So look for that updated draft DIR to come out sometime, likely the next 6 to 9 months. We'll need to recirculate it at that point. So I'm sure there'll be another round of public meetings and comments associated with that. But I did want to provide you that up-to-date news and clarify where GSNR is headed relative to the slide. And this is just a picture I took in the Modoc National Forest. People often, I think, are unfamiliar with, maybe not here, but when we're in Sacramento talking about the number of piles in the forest. There's an article in the Sacramento Bee today talking about the 50,000 piles that are in the Stanislaus National Forest. This was a picture I took up on the Modoc National Forest last year, where the forest thinning project is done. So the background, that's what it looks like after. And there's the pile. And if you were to go along this road in Modoc County, it was just pile after pile after pile of that size and scale. And so that's really what we're focused on, is finding a sustainable outlet for that brings commercial value so that those funds can be reinvested in more forest thinning projects going forward. Just 2 more to mention, then I'll wrap it up. One is the Environmental Services Joint Powers Authority. This is a JPA made up of 26 of our counties, helping counties comply with waste-related regulation. I have to credit Calaveras County because your own Mary Pitto was long a part of ESJPA and helped get ESJPA really to where it is today. So I want to thank her, and Calaveras County is a part of ESJPA. They meet on a quarterly basis, and typically it's going to be your public works or your landfill manager, waste management director who participate in those meetings. And then lastly, the Rural Advancement Institute. This is a 501c3 that we've had a long time, but it sat dormant. We brought it back to life a couple of years ago to focus on 2 things. One is education, primarily for urban legislators. And secondly is academic or research related to rural topics. And so right now we have a partnership with UC Santa Barbara, where they're looking at the sustainability of small volunteer fire districts with the challenges of decreasing volunteerism and increasing call volume, and the challenges of continuing to maintain sustainable response patterns with that dynamic. So we're looking for that report to come out relatively soon. And then we completed another educational tour where we had everyone from cabinet secretaries to legislators to chiefs of staff. And in this case, we had gone to Monterey County and toured their agricultural region as part of that tour. So we'll be now preparing for next year's tour, and then once the research project is done, looking to complete or update and go to another research project as well. And that, in a nutshell, is all things RCRC. Happy to take any questions or any feedback you may have.
Supervisor Wallendorf.
I don't have any question. I just want to say thank you to you and your staff, especially for welcoming me behind Jack, and filling those big shoes down at ICIC. It's really been a pleasure and enjoyable working with your staff. And thanks to Martin for taking my place up at Modoc this last couple of weeks. It's been eye-opening being part of those discussions and learning what other challenges other counties have, but they're also similar. It's just maybe different approaches in some things. And it's been really nice to connect with those, your staff and other board members to try and problem solve our world problems at the local level. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Supervisor Stopper.
Thank you. Kind of fitting, 2019, my first year. You went out and did the strategic plan for, showing us how it could benefit a county and everything. And, your colleague that worked with you ended up working with us on our strategic plan. So, that was really eye-opening for me at that time. And, you inspired me. So thank you.
Thank you.
With that, also at the same time in 2019, our planning director at the time, Peter Maurer, was, doing a kind of debate style with the planning director from LA County. And I mean, they did wonderfully, but at the end, all comments aside, the representative from the state was there, and Peter Maurer said, one size doesn't fit all. And the LA County planning director was like, actually, the one size doesn't fit anybody. because they agreed. And we appreciate the representative on the rural level, but seeing what you have up there is almost the exact same thing we have at CSAC. You know, and especially when it comes to what the legislature is putting forward, you know, here's your new laws. These are good. I mean, and there's a lot of times good intent behind those laws, but hand it off the county, you enforce it, no money. And this is, you know, been the moonwalk of our budgets since the beginning of, I don't know when they changed the Constitution that I heard earlier the first time. But thank you for the good work. I think even, you know, at the rural level, thank you. And I think that the urban and cities are on the same page for the most part.
I appreciate your feedback. One of the things our board added to our strategic plan is to look for opportunities to push back essentially against legislative proposals that are unduly impacting rural counties, whether it's funding, whether it's loss of land use control. And so things that we do on that front, a lot of times you'll see in legislation, small population counties exempted. That's because we'll go in and say, this doesn't work for a small county. Can we get it exempted? I mentioned mandate reimbursement. A couple years ago, we actually used litigation to stop some regulations that were going to negatively impact counties. And so these are just some of the examples of ways that we're working to advance that particular goal, which is to make sure the rural county's voice is heard.
Any other board comments? Thank you, Pat. I would just like to add one other thing is just, as I said in the meeting, whatever it takes to get the ball over the line with the CPUC, we're here.
Definitely appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Do we ask for public comment?
Oh, good
Sorry.
point. Any public comment regarding this presentation?
Morning again. Good morning, Mr. Blackbach. My name is Christopher Butner, publisher of Calaveras 2026election.com. 2 years ago, in July 2023, I investigated and published a detailed report alleging an irrationally and irresponsibly cited Tesla Supercharger electric vehicle charging station, EVCS for short, located in Arnold in District 3, that poses as an extraordinary yet avoidable threat of a catastrophic wildfire, term you used in your presentation, to our wildland urban interface communities. This potential firebomb of man-made origin was allegedly negligently sited in an extremely vulnerable location in distressingly close proximity to densely forested neighborhoods, large capacity propane tanks, and unregulated traffic at the fringes of the approximate 900,000 acre Stanislaus National Forest and 4.1 miles from one of the most pristine and majestic groves of giant redwoods on earth, Calaveras Big Tree State Park. Facts and concerns stated in my report have evidently been dismissed by the entirety of the Calaveras County government for 2 years. I shared my facts and concerns of my report beyond Calaveras County with state officials and agencies to break through the resistance and bureaucratic insolence. My efforts resulted in a strong expression of interest by a senior staffer to a member of the California legislature, informing me that the local hazard I had identified and documented at the Arnold electric vehicle charging station bore some striking similarities to previously documented hazard concerns related to 2 other Tesla supercharger installations elsewhere in the legislative district, having been independently documented to the legislator's office by CAL FIRE unit chiefs. I was encouraged by the staffer to further research overlapping points of hazard concern common to the 3 Tesla supercharger installations. I now ask you, sir, for your commitment as the president and CEO of the Rural County Representatives of California to partner with me and waste no time in urging the boards of supervisors of its member counties to 1, ensure existing Tesla supercharger installations are safe, secure, and as fire hazard free as possible, and 2, review their county permitting processes in order to ensure the inclusion of local and regional fire officials in the permitting and approval process for all future non-residential Tesla superchargers and similar EVCS installations and facilities. My name is Christopher Butner. I publish Calaveras 2026election.com. Thank you for your attention.
Is there any other public comment? Any comment online?
We have no online public comment.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure. Madam Clerk, we'll move on to item number 10.
Item 10, action item, administrative office. 1, make a public benefit finding, and 2, approve appropriations from the PG&E settlement fund to the 39th Agricultural Association in the amount of $594,951.98. Requires a 4/5 vote of the board.
Madam CEO.
Good morning, Chair Hubbard, members of the board. This item is to reallocate funding that previously was set aside for the fairgrounds for a sewer infrastructure project that they subsequently received a grant, and then reimburse the county for a large portion of that project. This is the balance. Previously, your board had authorized them to hire an engineer to go through the different projects that may support emergency services at the fairgrounds on behalf of Calaveras County. They identified a number of projects, including a generator project that they are now bringing forward for funding. If the board approves this item, then the fairgrounds would submit invoices for their project, and we would reimburse them in order to ensure that the generator project is complete. I believe Lori Giannini's here to answer any questions about the proposed project.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for having us. I'm excited to have this before you. As per your suggestion, we did a lot of work on a hardening plan and then came back and identified that the generator project would really be to our best use of the funds. Because not only in wildfire season where we have experienced no power, but floods and other things. So it's something that would be for all emergency services. And so we respectfully request that you approve this expenditure so we can move ahead and get going.
Awesome. Is there any board comment?
Just going through it, I did read further, but as soon as I saw A-Team, I knew you'd brought in somebody more than well qualified, having worked with them in the past in other areas. So just, you know, other than the cost hourly charge of them, you know, exceeds sometimes some of the best lawyers I know, but they're phenomenal. And so I have absolute confidence in the plan. So thank you, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, and I really have to give Matt Ospital and his team the credit because working with them is a dream and they really do bring the brightest and the best to the table.
Any other board comment? Is there any public comment regarding this item? Any comment online?
We have no online public comment.
Therefore, I'll bring it back to the board.
I'll move this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. We'll move on now to item number 11.
Item 11, action item, Public Works. 1, receive a presentation from the Department of Public Works regarding a Pacific Gas and Electric Rule 20A project to underground PG&E transmission lines along St. Charles Street, State Route 49 in San Andreas. And 2, authorize the Director of Public Works to execute all necessary documents related to the implementation of the project.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Martin.
Good morning. Morning, board. Public. Michael Martin, Public Works Director. I'm here to present this item primarily.
You might.
There you
Oh,
go.
no?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm here primarily to present this item as an informational item and also request that the board authorize our Public Works Department to execute the necessary agreements to see this project through to completion. So this is the Roll 20 undergrounding project on St. Charles Street here in San Andreas. This project is intended to well, just a little bit about the Rule 20 program itself. So the Rule 20 program allows for us to be able to use work credits that can be redeemed for undergrounding projects. So we've identified that undergrounding utilities in the downtown San Andreas area would be beneficial. And this program allows for the utilization of those credits to facilitate that work. We had some public hearings that were required for us to make sure that there's a public interest and support for the undergrounding of these utilities. So we completed those back in 1998 for the development of this district, and also in 2005 for District 9. The board resolution established these, that the lines would be trenched, and those resolutions were completed for these two districts. We have banked sufficient credits for the project and can use these work credits to facilitate the work as needed. So here's just a quick overview of the project itself and the parameters of it. And as I'm sure you're aware, this project is somewhat of a project to lay the foundation for the San Andreas Complete Streets project that'll be coming forward in a couple more years. So we're coordinating with PG&E on that project for the Complete Streets project to make sure that we're getting all these utilities undergrounded, relocated, and prepared ahead of that project so that we could have good continuity and avoid any unnecessary disruptions or delays. The construction of that project is scheduled for April of 2026, and PG&E will perform the underground work concurrent with Caltrans efforts. And our project team will be meeting monthly to ensure communication. Here's just another view of the utilities that will be impacted by this. These utilities that you see here will be placed underground and will provide for a much better view and also system reliability and add to the benefit of the project. Here's another view looking the other direction. And with that, I can answer any board comments or questions if needed.
Are there any board questions? Supervisor Stopper?
Just, we'll stay within the credits on the work and the cost.
Absolutely, yes. We have more than sufficient credits to help facilitate this work.
Yeah, we know, we open a can of worms.
Right.
So, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
Any other board comments? Any public comment regarding this item?
We have no online public comment.
With that, I'll bring it back to the board.
I'll move this item.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
As we catapult forward to supervisor announcements, this is the fastest meeting ever. Oh, well, maybe you've had faster in the past. This is probably my fastest. Supervisor Stopper, do you have any announcements? Supervisor Toffenelli?
No, not at this time.
Supervisor Hollander?
I just wanted to thank the chairman again for covering me about OCRC this month. Every year they go to OCRC chairman's county, and this year the representative is from MoDOT. So I think Martin ended up with twice this month. So thank you. I really appreciate it. While Martin was up there, I did attend a local public hearing at UP Union Utility up in Murphy, and the discussion of the current standing with the lawsuit, which is really unfortunate. It really drastically impact not just that district, but it could potentially domino effect multiple water districts. And it's a big concern of the community. There was a good attendance, and it was really well put on by Jessica and the legal team. So, yeah, that's all I have.
Thank you. Supervisor Randall.
I attended the Calaveras Mariposa Community Action Agency meeting on June 26th. And I wanted to thank McCallum Hill community for putting on wonderful 4th of July parade and celebration.
Thank you. 24th, 25th of June, Modoc County for RCRC. I really wanted to give a shout out on the 30th. I did the meeting with the Douglas Flat Schoolhouse. They have been raising money for years and years to try and save this 1854 schoolhouse. They have finally raised it. It's up about 5 feet off the ground and are completely redoing the foundation to then put it back down again. So it's pretty commendable. Meeting at the marina with Amanda on the 1st. And just wanted to give a shout out for the first Friday. It looked like Coney Island in Murphy's Community Park. There were so many people, and the Arnold Parade IMC was off the hook with the number of people that were up to the hill this summer. Madam CEO, do you have anything to report? County Council? No? Stacy, Susan? No? Holly? No? Great. Thank you all. That will terminate our meeting at 9:52.